Well, okay, so let's start the meeting then.
All right, everybody mute yourself.
Okay.
So I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 9:37. And do we have any new members? I'd like to introduce myself, Gary Geist. I'm the current president. And I would like for the secretary, who I guess that would be Katie, it would be nice if you could jot down all of the members that are in attendance, and also if we have any guests to also record that, because it seems that when we go to write the newsletter or to send out the minutes, we end up having questions as to who some of the people were and so forth. So we could write them down right now. That'd be great. So for introductions, do we have any new members or visitors that we can introduce?
Hey, Gary, I'll act as secretary since Katie's got her hands full there.
All right, okay. Do we have any new members or visitors?
I am a new member as of March, but this is my second meeting due to COVID.
And your name was?
Gary.
Gary Blanche. Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Gary, does Gary want to introduce himself again?
Recently retired, what was it, February 2019, and I've done woodworking for a number of years. I have a scroll saw. I haven't really used it. I thought it'd be kind of fun to start playing with it, and thought maybe you guys could get me inspired. So that's my story.
Where do you live, Gary?
I live in Burnsville.
Burnsville. Okay, you're down south. I'm up north. Most of the people are down south.
I'll be
Okay.
happy to help you any way I can.
Thank you.
Katie, do we have the, is Dick Hagen coming on? The
He
person
said,
that-
yeah, I sent him the invitation, and he asked for the invitation, but he's not here yet.
Okay, okay, so that takes care of that. So then let's get the officers' reports. The secretary report, Nick Reberg sent that out. Do we, any questions on the minutes that Nick Reberg sent out to the members? If not, can we have a vote to all in favor of approving or have a vote to approve the minutes?
So moved.
So we have a second.
I second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's unanimously approved.
Gary,
Yes.
I just noticed that Jim Ryan has a guest with him.
Katie, this is Brian. Brian.
And Hallquist?
Just getting started into it.
Brian, do you want to say a couple words of you and scroll sawing?
If you did.
Yeah, the reason I'm here is because Jim had done an intarsia for a client of mine who I had designed a custom home for. And I never saw anything quite like it. Since I designed custom homes, a lot of it has to do with wood and millwork and everything. So I have a love of wood. And that was about 15 years ago. So he had his business card stapled to the back. So I called him. He said, "Come over and I'll show you the ropes." He said, "I'm the biggest expert of all time, and I'm the right guy." So I live in Savage. I'm just starting out. I just bought a saw. I'm building a little shop in my basement, and I'm really eager to learn and to meet people, and do some nice work. And the type of work I'm thinking about doing is things that are a little more abstract, a little more contemporary, that might incorporate some metals, copper, stainless steel. We might incorporate some glass work. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. So
Okay.
I'm,
So you want to become a member, is that correct?
yes,
Okay. Warren, do you have all of his information to add him to our list?
No, I don't as of now. I just know Brian.
Okay. What would you like from him? A phone number or an email so you can contact him later?
Well, Brian, first of all, what's your last name?
it's a Hallquist, Hallquist.
Why don't you type your information into the chat, and then that way we'll have a record of it.
Okay, do it right now.
Yes.
Sure, that'll be fine. That will work. Thank you.
Do you see the,
52-890-7238. And my,
Hang on. What Bill was asking you to do is if you could type it in, there's a chat function at the bottom of the screen, and you enable that and you can type in a note.
we got to get an expert for that.
What do you need?
Bobby's right there. He's your expert. Bobby, they want him to put his name and phone number and address into the chat.
What's your name?
Brian, B-R-I-A-N.
Okay.
Hallquist, Hallquist. Phone number.
Oh, hang on.
890-7238.
952-890-7238.
7238, yes.
7338 or 238?
238.
Okay. Your email?
Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at Hallquist.
Can you also add his address? Can you put his address in as well?
You can go on with the conversation, Gary, because I just muted them.
Okay, I think he's inserting his address right now.
That's right, but we don't have to wait for him.
All right, so then we will move on to the treasurer's report. Warren? Warren is muted. He has to unmute.
I'm here. I'm here, Bill, Gary. Okay, I need to share my screen. I want to. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing. So
I'll try. I didn't think I did, but let me just see.
I don't have to do that. I could just talk to it.
But we need to have it available for everyone here.
It's on my screen right to the right of chat.
Didn't you just send that out in an email?
I finally got it. I think you can do it now.
I sent it to the board, but not everyone.
What?
Okay.
You-
So, can you see that now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so our starting balance as the end of October, or the beginning of October, was $1866.38. We had expenses of $163 to do what we're doing right now. We got a 1-year subscription to Zoom, and that gives us our monthly balance at the end of the month was $1703.38, $35 in petty cash. That's all there is to it.
Very good. Thank you, Warren. So let's go forward with reports. The first one that I have down here is TLC Toys. I'll report on that. On the cars, I ended up going down to Fred Flanagan's house and picked up like the 400 cars and 200 birds that Denny Schuster cut and then passed on to Fred Flanagan, and he glued them up. Plus, Fred also had 150 some himself. So we now have for the cars, year to date, we have 1,645 cars. Our goal was 900 because we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And we have 150 cars outstanding because I took Fred down. So when I took him some more wood, and he should be able to get about 150. Well, I'll take that back. He is going to cut some of that. Dale Kemp, he from down there in Faribault, he's got 150 cars that he made, and we're in transition to picking those up. He gave those to his daughter that lives in Bloomington, and she has them now. And so then I'm going to be making arrangements and going down there and pick those cars up from her, and I'll be dropping off some more wood. Birds, year to date, we have 1,044. And as I mentioned last month, that we are also making a variety of different small little wood projects for the seniors in the assisted living institutions. And trees, rabbit, turtles, teddy bears, hearts, and tulips, 7 different ones. And I'll show you a picture when we get to the show and tell of what they look like. There's basically 2 of us making those, Roger Elwine and myself. I did give Fred Flanagan some trees, and he's going to be doing that for a little bit of a variety. Basically, Roger is still involved in cutting his, but I have finished 230 of those. I'm doing about 35 to 50 of each one, and Roger's going to be doing about the same. So that's what we have for the reports. Let's move on to old business. Can we get a Zoom update from you, Katie, as to the calling that we did and the learnings that we're doing and so forth?
And just, yes. Zoom meet, okay. You want me to talk about what we've learned?
Well, whatever you want to talk about Zoom that you picked up since our last meeting.
The first thing I want to welcome Dwayne Wagner, but Dwayne, you have a green screen on, so we can't see your face. Do you know how to turn that off? Hi, Dwayne. Welcome. I'm happy to see David, and oh, there's Travis, right? Well, he's just connecting. Anyway, we've got people coming in. The board members called as many people as we could to invite you to join this meeting. We learned a lot from the last one. We know that we'd like people to mute themselves when they come in. And then if you want to talk, you just unmute yourself. I don't know what else we've learned, but I'm enjoying, we've got about 20 people on right now. No, 18 people on right now, right? So far. Does anybody have any Zoom questions?
I think from our calling, Katie, we found out that several of our members were not aware of it. And several are saying, hey, they're going to get on board. Some weren't able to make it this Saturday. Some of our seniors, they are probably not all computer-wise, but they're looking into it. And some of them need to get a camera. And I know, like, Dale Kemp down there in Faribault, some of the issues that he has is that they don't have cable and so forth, and he has to use his phone for his, like, let's say, for example, like Verizon for his internet connection, and this meeting of 2 hours can take up a lot of gigabytes and a lot of storage. So he's looking into that as to maybe, you know, increasing his plan and his data plan and so forth. So there's, you know, this is a work in process of this whole Zoom, and again, we're learning, but hey, we got 18 of us here. We are staying connected, and I think that's the important thing.
The other thing is, please have your chat window open at the and watch for private messages or messages to everyone. You can type in a message, and then you have to hit enter so that it goes.
The next old business I'd like to bring up is our Scrollsaw project, our pattern, a memorial plaque for deceased members. Bill and Katie, would you like to talk about that?
No, Roger and Katie, but Roger is hunting this weekend. So I'm gonna show you, he made the plaque. This is it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. He had one problem. The star is touching the S. So this piece right in here fell out, and he has to glue it in. We've, the North Star Scroller logo part of this is the hardest one to, well, it's the hardest one to alter. And I think we need a typesetter to do that, because I can't get the job done, basically. Or we can just continue to glue it in. I need someone else to give it a whirl if you want to do one for Swede and one for Elmer Dockendorf. I don't know how we're going to get the whole name on there, but maybe we'll just use the first name.
Katie,
Yes.
can you put that in like Word and take the north part of it and just space it over a little bit?
I can't, because it's been typeset, and Word won't, the Word won't, I can alter anything else on the thing in Word except North Star Scrollers.
You can't copy and paste it on a sheet by itself and do it?
I may have tried that. I tried a lot of different things. I have not succeeded yet.
Okay.
Can I address that issue?
Yep.
I was over at Roger and took some wood over to him, and we picked some things up, and he was in the process of cutting the plaque, and he showed it to me, and he mentioned that specific thing, that the star was going to fall out and everything. So we had some discussions, and when I left this week and got home, I started thinking about it as to what maybe we could do. And to address that, I went in, because I put that down into a Corel Draw, that what you sent, Katie, and I kind of play around with it and so forth. I sent you some things. It's like Jeff was talking about, yeah, in Word and so forth, you can't really move it over, but I've been able, so I got thinking about it, and in Corel Draw, I figured out how I could kind of do it. And what I did was, I thought, if I can move the S over and free up the star, then we could do that. And then what I thought was to take the star, and once I freed it up, which I was able to do, and then I bevel cut it so it wouldn't fall out. I bevel cutted it, and then I pushed it out, and then I backed it out and put a little glue on it and pushed it out. So that star now is raised, and I think it looks quite nice. And I'll show it to you here. Can you see it?
No. You're gonna have, there you go. Yep, oh, lift it up, 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 up. There you go. Okay.
Can you see now? I'm going to turn it. I'm going to turn it. You can see how it's projected out. Can you see it projected out?
Yes, but yes.
And right now it's still red colored because two things I did. That star has a border on it, and it really screws it up from trying to cut it out. Do you do the inside star or the outside star with the border? So I removed the one border, and then I printed it. The star is red, so I printed it off on a color printer, and right now it's red because I didn't remove the paper from it, the pattern. And if we did this, what you could do would be to, well, you could leave it stuck on there like this with the colored paper, but you could remove it, and then you could paint it red, just that star after you were all done. Cover it up, and then do your other work, and then just paint the star red. But it when it's projected out like that, I thought it looks pretty neat. So you can see the projection.
Mhm. Well, we'll have to kind of do a poll to see whether we want to in or out. We can do it either way. Maybe it's up to the person who does the cutting.
Okay, so the next steps on that plaque that you have, you're going to deliver it or send it, or what's?
I'll take it to the post office and get it packaged and deliver it by mail. Unless somebody from Rochester is coming up to the city. I don't see anyone from Rochester here. So I'll mail it.
Okay, and be sure to recover your postage from the treasurer there, Warren. The next item, I got an old business, the Pegasus Scrollsaw Blades group purchasing. Bill, Dean?
Yes, I did not place the order yet. I was asked to wait because we were still trying to get in contact with all the members. So I will once again say, if you are interested and want some blades, please email me what you want, and I will put the order in at the end of the week. But I held off on purpose because we were still trying to reach out to the rest of the membership.
So email you by the 14th?
Yes.
Have you received
I
any
have.
requests?
I've received about 4.
Okay.
Could you review what the deal is with the blades, and maybe you want to put your email on the chat?
Sure.
Do you want to say what the deal is?
Oh, so basically, we reviewed a couple of different sources, and we found one source that gives a little bit better of a deal. It's called, the name of the company is QTE, and they're cheaper than Bearwoods and a couple other places, and they have a discount by volume as well. So,
And the brand of the blades.
but they are Pegasus blades.
So do you have a final price that it's going to be to the person out the door?
I have a spreadsheet where I made all the comparisons and stuff, but I actually did that probably 4 or 5 months ago, and that does not include shipping. So I will have to calculate that once we get the order together. But in general, it was $5 cheaper per gross with this company versus others.
Blades.
Okay. Any other questions in regards to those blades?
And I'm sure if you email Bill, because you're unsure of the pricing or the whatever about the blades, size of blades, he could send that spreadsheet to you, but it's not on this computer. It's on our other computer.
You can send it to me, Bill, and I can put it in the newsletter.
Okay, I'll do that. And I just put my email address in the chat.
So Bill, Bill, for each person that wants blades, are you saying they should order by the gross, or how are you going to break that out if you only want a dozen?
I'll figure the math out. Just tell me what you want, and if I have to round up, because they're all sold a minimum of 12, but you can also get them up to 144. But just tell me what you want, and I'll do the math. I can manage it.
And they can order the different sizes.
Yes.
Then once you received all of the orders, how are they going to get the blades, the individuals?
Well, it depends. One suggestion was that possibly one day I simply meet at the parking lot of where we used to have our meeting and hand them out. I can also mail them out. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
Will they allow you to order a gross of blades in different sizes?
Yes.
Different sizes and one gross.
Other questions?
I'm just wondering if this is going to be a burden on you, Bill, to get them to the right people, and are we going to lose our discount just because we have to do some shipping or running around to pick them up?
Well, you know what? Again, it's a work in progress. If we find that to be the case, then we won't do it again. But I'm willing to take on the challenge, so I don't see it as a problem.
Warren, I can answer part of that question. I buy my 2.0 blades by the gross, and it comes out to around $2.30 or 40 cents a dozen, versus buying a single one at $6 or $7.
Well, that's my point. If we end up, some people just want a couple dozen of a blade, and he ends up, having to buy a gross to get the discount, then is our discount going to go away? If you can bunch them in different sizes, that's easier then. It's a lot of work on Bill.
I mean, as a reference point, it's still going to be cheaper than going to Rockler or Woodcraft. So if that's your reference point, it is still cheaper than Bearwood as well. So again, I don't see it as that big of a deal at all.
Okay, great.
Okay, then we'll have a update at the next meeting. So let's talk about new business. The new business I'd like to talk about is our secretary. Nick has said that he is going to resign at the end of December. And I wanted to tell Nick, but put it in the minutes here anyhow. I would like for Nick to send an email to the board stating his resignation at the end of December, so that we have that on record that he is requesting that. The next question is, starting out in January up until our new fiscal year in April 1st, we need to have an interim secretary. So I'd like to bring that up as for discussions and ask for a volunteer that would like to take that on from January to through March, and then would have her voting on in March for the next fiscal year starting April 1st. Comments? Katie, maybe you could unmute everybody so people could bring in comments, so that not everybody wants to volunteer, and get too many people volunteering here.
Well, my thing says that everyone is unmuted. They're going to have to unmute themselves if they muted themselves, probably. And Gary, ask the question again, please.
The question is, we need an interim secretary from January through March to replace Nick Reberg. And I'm asking for comments, or more specifically, a volunteer that would take that on.
May I make a suggestion? Instead of having a secretary, my iPad has a record button on it, and it's actually recording the program. So whether Katie's recording it, we should have all the minutes right there.
I have the minutes, but they need to be in a format that I'm not willing to do both that and the newsletter. And there are things in the minutes that I don't include in the newsletter, like all the
Right.
financial stuff.
But you are recording this meeting, right?
I am. I record every meeting, and we're working on.
So one person could volunteer each month to just put that into a secretary's report.
That's all the secretary does. We're asking for
Yes.
a volunteer.
Yes. But I'm just saying it that easy.
Easier said than done.
Well, some of us don't have the skills doing that.
We are working on a voice to text. Just a minute, I have to unmute. I have to mute people again. We are working on a voice to text application. We're going to experiment with it and see how close it comes. So you won't even, what I've been doing is transcribing, listening to the meeting all over again. I transcribe it and then I send it to the secretary. This one won't do that for me. So I always transcribe the meeting. That's not the issue. The issue is someone to just take those notes and put them into a format. Now you can unmute yourself to respond.
My thing with that is, I have that on my phone for my voicemail, and it's very inaccurate.
I know.
And it's going to take a lot of reading through to make sure that things don't get misspelled or names get turned into words or whatever. But it's pretty bad.
That I will be doing.
Okay.
Anybody can do it. Because we have email, I can send it anywhere. I'll put the request into the newsletter and let's move on. Gary?
I got muted, so I have to unmute here. I guess what I wanted to say is even on the secretary minutes that the people that have done it in the past have done a beautiful job, very, very complete and so forth. And I'm thinking that at least it's on the interim, we may not, for our club, we may not need to add, everything in detail. I think we need to, if I was doing it, I would just hit the high points, the main things that we're looking at, basically the decisions that we made and the issues that are outstanding for next time.
Okay, that's all right. We can move on. I'll put it in the newsletter. We'll get somebody to do it.
All right, then the next new business is I want to talk about our next meeting. Typically our next meeting would be Saturday, December 5th. And typically that's been our holiday party and where we've done different exchanges and so forth. So obviously we're not going to be meeting in person. So the question that I raise is, do we want to have a meeting December 5th by Zoom, or do we want to cancel it?
I'd like us to meet by Zoom as often as we can because we have no other contact.
I think that'd be a great idea too, Katie.
What about the rest of the people? Do you want to meet the Zoom meeting?
Oh, I think those that can meet, I think we should meet. We got to keep this going.
Travis says.
Travis says
I like
what?
the contact with.
Travis says Zoom.
Zoom. You can press your space bar and say Zoom.
Zoom.
Travis says Zoom.
Thank you. Jeff, you're muted. You're muted, Jeff. Oh, I did okay, everyone's unmuted on my
Thank
end.
you.
Everyone's unmuted on my end, but you also have to unmute yourself because
No, you had me blocked out.
I muted everyone and
Yes.
okay, never mind.
Okay, well, let me put it this way. It sounds like we want the meeting to be held in December as a regular meeting. Is there anyone that is opposed to having a meeting next month? All right, that's it. We'll continue with our regular meeting next Saturday, December 5th. One other new business that I have is that maybe of interest to you. Jim Barthel from TLC Toys, he has access to a cabinet shop that has a lot of wood that they're gonna donate to him. And I guess Mel Hartman used to get some from that, but they've been out of contact for a couple of years, but now he's back in contact and he's getting some wood there to use. Now, this place has a lot of Russian 1/4 inch plywood, and the size is 19.5 inches by 5 feet. And they use it basically for the bottom of the drawers, the base. And he doesn't know if he's going to be able to use all of what they have. And he's been discussing with me as possible new ideas or projects and so forth that we can do with that. But the Russian 1/4 inch plywood is, well, I don't know if it's synonymous with Baltic birch. You know, it's up there in the Baltic birch area. I think some people consider it the same, but I don't know if it's actually the same. But it's pretty good plywood. Now, if he decides he does not need all of that wood, Jim says, hey, do any of our members in North Star Scrollers, would you be interested in taking some and getting some of this wood? Now, what I'm saying is that I don't know how much we're going to have available, and if our members decide they want a lot of that wood and we don't have that much, then I would give preference to the people that have been cutting cars and birds and so forth for TLC Toys. But we won't know until we find out if people are interested in it. Your thoughts? The question is, would any of you want any of the Russian 1/4 inch plywood, 19.5 inches wide by 5 feet long?
I would think that we could use some of those when we get back to doing some demos and that, like for the Girl Scouts and that. Some of that could be used.
Hey.
Gary, I would be interested in some. If nothing else, is a good backer board.
You know, we're probably talking dependent upon what's available at the end and how many people here would want some. You know, you might be able to get 5 of them, maybe 7 or 8, you know, per person, you know, type of thing.
That's another issue that we should put in the newsletter and let people respond. I would probably want some, and it's just too hard to, when there's not the whole membership on here, it's too hard to get a feel for it. So I'll put it in the newsletter and let's move on.
Well, I'm trying to get a little bit of a pulse here because Jim's looking for some feedback from this place so that they don't end up burning it. And yes, go ahead. What I'm hearing that we do have a couple of people or one that would want it. I think also, like what Roger says, that for the Girl Scouts, it would probably be a perfect place for it. We just have to store it. Somebody would. So yes, put it in the newsletter, and even before the newsletter comes out, you know my email address. It's on the newsletter and so forth. Send me directly an email as to if you want some and how much you would want. I would say we'd look at at least a minimum of 5 sheets per person, and go from there. And
I'll
then,
send that email out to everyone before the newsletter.
okay, perfect. And then we'll figure out how we're gonna get it delivered. Okay, any other new business? No other new business? Well then, from that, Mike Zink, you're the program manager here. So what do we have for a speaker? We can move on to that.
Can we go back to the secretary? My wife wants to say something, ask about how soon you would need to transcribe.
Katie, I could do it. I just don't know about the timeline. Having a meeting on a Saturday, I work full time. I'm gonna need to take care. Jeff, I mean, is it like you have to have it back in 1 week, 2 weeks? I mean, if we can stretch it out, that if I have, a good portion of time, I know you've always liked before the newsletter by the 15th. That might be a little bit quick for me. But I mean, if we could look at maybe a little bit more time, but if I need to have it done and exactly back by then, I'll just try my darndest. I mean, and I know it is only for a couple months. I'd be willing to try and do it for the space that you need.
I try to get the newsletter out by the 20th of the month.
Okay, by the 20th of the month. So that'd be the time that you would need it, at least 5 to 7 a week before.
The reason that
yeah.
The reason that I asked for the 15th is that I do look at the minutes to write the newsletter, but I don't have to. I can always refer back to my recording.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not the best on the computer, but I work on one for a living, but I just don't know creating something like that. But I'm willing to give it a try. You can always fire me.
Gary,
if you're okay with a spouse doing it.
You don't have to transcribe it, Carol. You only have to put it. I'll send you a printed transcription, and you just put it in a format that's good for the secretary's report.
Well, we could do is have Nick Reberg send the newsletter. He uses Word, and he's got the format and everything, so you don't have to reformat everything.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to try. Like I said, I might need even help figuring that out, but we'll work it out.
That's good.
We'll work it out. So
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. Mike, you're on.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank the rest of the program committee for helping out, and we're choosing videos, and I think we're making good progress as far as getting a variety of things. So since we're going to have to use these YouTube videos for a while, there's plenty of them on there. There's just an unlimited supply, so it's just a matter of spending some time each month and finding some decent ones. So Bill found a good one, and then Gary found the second half of it. So we're going to have, the program would be Scrollsaw patterns, how to apply your Scrollsaw pattern to your workpiece. And this is from Scrollsaw Goodies on YouTube. That would be the first one. It's about 11 minutes. And then the second one is about 4 minutes, and that's called Removing the Scrollsaw Patterns by the same guy. So Katie has
Okay.
the videos, so I guess it'd be up to Katie.
Yep. Yeah, okay, so bear with me. I'm gonna
Okay.
mute everyone during this, and I'll try to make sure you can unmute yourself. So first I'm gonna mute everyone. I'm clicking allow participants to unmute themselves. And now I'm gonna go share the video. If I can. Just a minute, I got it. I can't see it. Oh, there it is. It's not letting me, wait a minute.
Now, one of the questions I get an awful lot.
Can you see and hear? You're gonna have to press your, just a minute here.
We can see it now, Katie.
Okay.
Especially from new scrollers, is how to attach the pattern to the wood. Now there's a lot of different methods and each Scrollsaw artist has their own preferred method, but I thought I'd share a few of the more popular ways of doing it, and that way you could decide which way would work best for you. So there's basically 3 different ways of putting the pattern to the wood. The first method is to transfer the pattern directly to the wood. The second method would be to lay down a substrate and then glue the pattern to the substrate, and that makes for really easy pattern removal. And then the last way is to glue the pattern directly to the wood. So let's take a look at the first method in transferring the pattern directly to the wood. Now, one of the most direct ways of putting the pattern to the wood is simply draw on the wood itself. Now that's easy enough for a simple pattern, but when you get something a little bit more complex, that is really quite far out of my skill set, and I'm not comfortable doing that. But for simple patterns, it works great. Now you could also use carbon paper. Now carbon paper can be found at any craft store. I usually find it in the wood crafts area, and it's a great way of transferring a pattern or a design to another surface. You simply put the carbon paper directly behind the pattern, you tape everything down, and with the pencil you kind of draw the outline of your design, and then once you remove both the pattern and the carbon paper, the outline of your design has been transferred to your wood. Now if you don't have graphite paper, you could always use a soft pencil. I like to use these soft pencils that you use for drawing. The softer the pencil, the better. And all you got to do is simply scribble on the back of your pattern and lay down a nice thick dark color on the back of the pattern. And then when you retrace it on the front side, the pattern will transfer through. Now this next method works with a laser printer or a photocopy machine. And what you're going to have to do is print out your pattern in reverse, because it will get reversed when you transfer the pattern. I'm going to have an iron heating here. I have it on the highest setting, and what's going to essentially do is it's going to melt the toner and transfer the toner directly to the wood. And then with your iron, give it some really good firm pressure. You're really going to have to kind of work with it and kind of keep checking what you're doing, because it takes a while. So the next method also uses a laser printer or a photocopy. And again, we have to reverse the image because we're going to transfer the toner directly to the wood. And in order to do that, we're going to use acetone. Now acetone is really noxious stuff, and it's highly flammable, so make sure you use the proper protection and be in a well-ventilated area. With the acetone, I'm just going to use a paper towel. I'm going to soak the paper towel with acetone, and then I'm going to apply it to my pattern. And the pattern will turn translucent, and once it turns kind of translucent, then we'll use the back of a spoon. I'm using the back of a razor blade, but I'm just going to go ahead and rub onto those areas of black, and that will kind of transfer the the toner directly to the wood. So the next method, we're actually using an inkjet printer. And again, we're going to have to flip the image and so that when we transfer the ink to the wood, that everything is oriented right. And what I did is I just took a label for like mailing address labels and I peeled off all the labels, and what's left behind is this waxy surface. So when you run it through the inkjet printer, the ink will actually sit on top of the surface without penetrating into the paper itself. So in essence, this is all wet ink. So all we got to do is carefully place that onto our wood, and then we'll just rub the back of it to transfer the ink to the wood. So the next category is using a substrate. Now a substrate is a material you put on top of the wood and then you glue the pattern directly on top of the substrate. Now the advantage of something like that is that you could remove the pattern and the substrate relatively easy with very little cleanup. So let's go ahead and talk about substrates first, and then we'll cover how we could glue the pattern to the substrate. So the most popular substrate among scrollers is blue painter's tape. Now painter's tape is really great because it is relatively low tack, and when you remove the pattern it doesn't leave any kind of sticky residue behind. So that is very popular among scrollers. But to add the substrate to the wood, you just simply tear off a piece and just kind of cover your entire work surface, just kind of overlapping very, very slightly. And then once everything is covered, you can flip it over and just trim off the excess. You could also use contact paper, and I'm using the clear contact paper, and you can find this over in the kitchen area of your store. And the nice thing about it is it comes in these giant rolls which are pretty wide, so they're going to accommodate most projects that you work with. You just roll it out, cut off what you need, peel off the backer, and then put your board right on top and cut off the excess and you're done. So here's a novel method. Go to your kitchen and grab some of this Glad Press and Seal. Now, you can't use regular saran wrap, it really has to be the Glad Press and Seal. And the nice thing about this stuff is that there's no glue involved, so unlike the tape methods, there's no chance of leaving behind a sticky residue. It's really easy to apply. You just pull off a little strip. I like to use like a little credit card as a burnisher to get a really nice tight bond to it, and you'd be really surprised how well this stuff grips. We got all of our substrates attached to the wood, and now the next step would be to glue the pattern directly to the substrate. So this is a good time to talk about the different gluing techniques. Now the very first one we're going to cover is about as straightforward as you can get. It is your standard white glue or a PVA glue. Exactly like we used to do when we were kids. We just kind of lay down a little bit of glue, spread it out, attach your pattern, and wait for it to dry. If PVA glue is a little bit too messy, you could get a glue stick. Now this glue stick is unique, that it is purple, so when you put it onto the back of your pattern, it shows up purple, and then as it dries clear. All you gotta do is flip over your pattern, put the glue on, turn it back over, stick it to your substrate, and you're done. You could also use rubber cement. Now rubber cement works a little bit different. What you're going to do is you're going to put a nice even layer of rubber cement on the back of your pattern and a nice even layer of rubber cement on your substrate. And you're going to let both of those dry. And once they're dry, they're still a little bit tacky, and when you place the two surfaces together, it becomes a permanent bond. So it's a nice way of getting a very strong bond between the pattern and the substrate. So a super easy way of attaching your pattern to your substrate is to simply print your pattern on a full sheet label. You can't get much easier than this. You just peel back the label, you stick it onto your substrate, no fuss, no muss. The labels are a little bit expensive, but what you lose in expense, you certainly make up for convenience. So the most common way of attaching the pattern to the substrate is to use a spray adhesive. Now there's many different brands out on the market. I'm using 3M Super 77, and I've had pretty good luck with this. It has a nice strong bond. Now the problem with using spray adhesive is that the overspray kind of gets everywhere. So you might want to do this outside or in your garage. And it also has a lot of fumes, so you want a well-ventilated area. There's a couple ways of using your spray adhesive. One method is just to flip over your pattern, spray your pattern, and what you do is you let that dry for a little bit. And what you're looking for is it to get tacky, kind of like the back of a Post-it note. And once it's to that state, you just simply put it onto your substrate and you press it on and you're ready to go. If you want a more permanent bond, you also spray the back of your workpiece. And you also wait till it gets tacky like that as well. So that covers the use of substrates. Now the next method is to attach the pattern to the wood itself. And in order to do so, we're going to use our spray adhesive. Now it's going to work the exact same way, but we're only going to attach or spray the back of the pattern. We're not going to spray the back of the wood. We're going to give it a nice even coat, let it dry until it gets to be tacky, kind of like a Post-it note, and then we'll attach the pattern directly to the wood. And this is becoming a very popular way of attaching your pattern to your wood because it requires no additional material. And the pattern removal is super easy. If you use just a little bit of mineral spirits, it practically falls off. And we'll cover pattern removal in the next video. So there you have it, several different ways of attaching your pattern to your workpiece, whether or not it be a image transfer, or putting down a substrate and gluing your pattern to the substrate, or gluing your pattern directly to the wood. So how do you do it? How do you attach your pattern to your workpiece? Leave a comment below. I think the rest of us would really love to hear how you do it, and maybe we can learn a few things from you. If you found this video useful, be sure to hit that like button. That really helps me out an awful lot. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I do these videos from time to time, and I'd love to have you on board. You can find me hanging out over at Scrollsaw Village, and if you're new to scrolling, that is a great place to hang out. A lot of helpful people, and they'll give you great advice. And to top it all off, we have this great pattern library of thousands of free Scrollsaw patterns, so there's always something new to cut. You can also find me over on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, and I'll put links to all those in the description below. My next video, I'll be kind of a follow-up to this video. I'll be showing you different methods of removing patterns, so that'll be helpful as well. So be sure to check that out as well. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy scrolling.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Just a minute. There. I'm going to do a new share as soon as they won't let me do that. Come on. Oh, first I have to go here.
In the description below, so be sure to check that out. In this video, I'd like to share a few easy ways to remove the pattern from your workpiece, and hopefully you'll be able to find something that will work best for you. The most obvious way of removing your pattern is to simply peel it off, and that works really good when you're working with a substrate, whether it be blue painter's tape, contact paper, press and seal. It usually all comes off in one piece. All you got to do is simply grab the corner and start peeling it back. But pay special attention to some of those delicate fretwork areas, because the peeling motion is going to add undue stress to those areas, and we don't want to break any of those pieces off. Another method is to simply sand the pattern away. And that really works well when you're working with an image transfer, where the pattern is transferred directly to the wood. Now you can also sand away paper patterns, but you got to be a little bit careful because the friction from the sandpaper will sometimes melt the glue and work that glue into the wood fibers. But it is possible, just take your time and go slow. When sanding any fretwork, it's a good idea to have a sanding pad. The sanding pad offers a little extra support, and it keeps your workpiece from sliding around. Now if your project has a lot of delicate fretwork involved, I would bypass the random orbital sander and choose something a little less aggressive like this mouse sander. This mouse sander only vibrates and is a little bit easier to control. Of course, the most control you'll ever have is simply with a sheet of sandpaper and doing it by hand. Another easy way of removing patterns is to use a heat gun. The heat gun will heat up the glue and soften it so it makes for really easy pattern removal. Now you might be able to get away with using a standard hair dryer. Just put it on its highest settings and take your time when removing the pattern. Now the heat gun that I'm using is meant for stripping paint or wallpaper, and they're pretty inexpensive. They're running around $20, and I'll put a link to the one that I'm using below in the description. But these have really high intensity heat, and they really make quick work of removing the pattern. My favorite method of removing patterns is by using mineral spirits. Now mineral spirits is a solvent, so it's going to soften and dissolve the glue, making pattern removal super easy. It's also a great way to clean up any sticky residue left behind from other glues or even tape that you might use for a substrate. The stuff I'm using is odorless mineral spirits, so it's really good for indoor use. In order to use, I just put a little bit on a paper towel and then rub it into the pattern. Once the paper turns translucent, I know it's ready to peel off and the pattern practically falls off on its own. Once your mineral spirits evaporates, your board will be as good as new. Now, one way I like to apply my mineral spirits is by using one of these pump sprays. This one came from an old bottle of I cannot believe it's not butter spray. And I fill it up with a little bit of mineral spirits, and when I'm ready to use it, I just spritz down my pattern. Once the pattern turns translucent, I can peel it off with ease. Just make sure you label this up properly so you're not accidentally using this on your corn on the cob. So those are a few ideas on how to remove patterns from your workpiece. Hopefully you can find something that will work best for you. So how do you do it? How do you remove patterns from your workpiece? Leave a comment below. We would love to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, be sure to hit that like button. That really helps me out an awful lot. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I do these videos from time to time, and I'd love to have you on board. If you still need to find me, I hang out over at Scrollsaw Village. Be sure to swing by and say hi. You could also find me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, and I'll put links to all that below. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Whoops.
Just unmuted myself here.
What?
I unmuted myself.
Yeah.
Mike, you want to field questions?
One of them girls do damn good. Katie's really good at it. Of course, she went down to duty twice. Well, she did the class up here, and then she went down there. Took class down here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like 500, 700 for the week. At Judy's to take a class down
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's expensive. But
It's
she is good.
$550 for the 3-4 days.
Well, John took it twice.
Yeah.
Katie, did you feed that directly from YouTube or did you download that video to your computer?
I fed it directly from YouTube. Did it work out okay?
Well, it had that hesitation in it. Now I downloaded them to my computer. Would you like to just try it once to see?
Yeah, go ahead.
If that, how do I do that here?
You do share screen.
Share
Oh,
screen.
Do you have it open on your computer already?
No, I don't. So let me find that and I'll come back here.
Okay. So what did people think about the video? Or
I love the idea of the spraying. I mean, I've always applied.
just a minute.
He died now. But he was 4.5. They were
What was her?
Just a minute. Jim Ryan, can you mute? Jim, you need to keep yourself muted.
But she always, she kept her own name.
Yeah.
And, but she.
Other people, can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like
Okay.
the idea of the press and seal. It's faster than blue tape.
Yeah.
This is what I use.
Painter's mate.
Poly hanging tape. It's a double-sided tape. Comes in a roll about the same as painter's tape. Peels off really easy, leaves nothing behind, and it works really well. Doesn't raise the grain like spray does or the real sticky painter's tape. I've had problems with it breaking some of the real delicate stuff I make, and this doesn't.
Why do you like that? Have you done it where you've just applied the spray adhesive right onto the wood?
Oh yeah.
So what's the advantage of doing the way you're doing versus that?
Well, one of the things that I have found that spraying directly on the wood, that's what I started doing at first. And one of the things I didn't like about it was I had to use heat and my wife's hairdryer to get the pattern off. And it was time consuming. It took a lot of time. I had problems breaking things because it stuck too hard. So I found that this peeled so nice and easy, and it went on so nice and easy. It just works better. And it doesn't raise the grain when you're done. That's the one thing they didn't tell you in that video is if you spray directly on the wood, that adhesive is going to raise the grain of the wood. So you are going to have to sand that surface.
Would you put in chat what you're using?
Yeah.
One of the advantages, at least I've always been told with using a tape, is that it provides lubrication for the blade as well.
Yes, I've heard that.
I actually use cheap clear packing tape from Harbor Freight. It doesn't, because it's the cheap stuff from Harbor Freight, it doesn't stick. It sticks well enough, but not so much that it's hard to pull off. Provides pretty good lubrication, and I like it because I can see the grain of the wood as I'm putting down pieces for intarsia.
So you use packing tape as a sublayer?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Instead, same principle as what they were talking about, the blue painter's tape.
Right.
The advantage to me is I can see through it. I can see the grain, and as I'm putting the pieces down on it that I glue down.
That's why I use the contact paper in order to see the grain. I can even draw a circle around where I want a piece to go so that I don't forget between the time of putting the adhesive on the back of the pattern and then placing it back on the wood.
Yep, same principle. I guess I never did price the difference. I know I can get about 6 rolls of packing tape for about $3.
My problem with my problem with the packing tape is that it comes off too easily when I'm. I have to,
I haven't had that problem, but
I carry my patterns to Arizona with me, and so they get a lot of rough wear and tear.
Yep.
I've in the past have used painter's tape. From there I went to the packaging tape, but then ultimately I switched to the contact paper, and I'm a believer in that. It's wider, bigger. With the packaging tape and painter's tape, you got to keep putting down strips of it, but the contact paper, it's rare that I have a project that's bigger than that. And I get it at Walmart. The brand that he was using was a trademark contact paper, and Walmart carries both. They carry a contact trademark, and they have an off brand that's a little cheaper, but I've used both of them.
So it was trademark, and then what was the other one?
Well, I don't know what the other one was. It's at Walmart. They carry two.
Be great value at Walmart, I would have got, is their store brand.
You can also get the cheaper kind at a dollar store for $1.
Yeah.
The contact paper, the brand name at Walmart is a little bit thicker than the house brand or the other brand, but both seem to work pretty good. I think I'm a little bit more towards, right now I'm using the actual brand, the contact. Well, I think these videos worked out, really slick.
Well, we'll wait.
Katie, I've got that other video on my computer. Now let's see if we can get it to show. What do I have to do here? I'll open that up and then.
It'll show you a screen, and when you see it on the screen, you click on that.
Can you see it?
Not yet. Did you
No.
Did you click on share screen?
No. Okay, let's go back here. I'm going to click share screen.
And then
okay.
And then you choose the one that is the application that is the video. And then at the bottom of that screen, it says share. You have to click on that.
Okay, it's on the lower left here, the one.
All right, you
Zoom.
click on that, and then you
Right.
go down and click on share.
Share computer sound. Oh, I see it over on the right. Okay, now we're going to click on that.
We're not seeing your.
You don't see it?
No.
I think it's because I think you're sharing your file explorer and not the actual video app.
You have to open the app.
Okay, just a second here. I shut him off. Oh, geez. Okay, let me open him up again.
You know what, Mike? Maybe we'll be better off if you and I do this.
Yeah, let's try it later. I get the video, but I cannot seem to make it share here.
Oh, and on the top of your page, it says play Zoom program video. Pink.
All right. Mute. Stop video.
No, that's not right.
I've kind of lost you guys, so.
Okay, go up to the top and stop. You can stop sharing.
Stop share.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, there you're back again.
Mike, you and I can do this at a different time.
Yeah, we need to practice.
I'll call you.
Okay.
Well, then the next item would be to move on to show and tell. So who would like to start out with show and tell?
Well, I can start out. I didn't get anything done since the last time because, like I said, I've been spending time on other things like newsletters and stuff. But I went over to Swede's house to see Carol, and she came out and she said she took this off her wall. Let's see. It says, can you read that?
Yep.
It says, Scrollsaw College, Doctor of Woodology. Swede had this on his workshop wall. She took it off the wall and she said, what in heck am I going to do with this? And then she turned it over and my name was written up here. So he had put that aside for me.
Very nice.
Ah.
So who wants to go next?
I can go.
Do you know how to share screen?
Yep. Here we go. Let's see.
I don't know who's talking.
This is Warren.
Oh, there you are.
So let's see. Go to there. And share. Okay. Here we go.
You gonna narrate?
Yeah, so here's a project I took out of the Scrollsaw Woodworking magazine from winter 2020. You have that. If you have that magazine, you'll find this in one of the pages in there. So I'm going to put together this jigsaw puzzle. Here it goes. Parts coming in.
That's cool.
So that's all there is to it. I used really a kind of a punky piece of wood to do this, and I had a lot of troubles with it breaking in different spots. And I also had problems with my cut, and I had some beveled cuts in there, so pieces don't always come out the right way. And anyway, but I thought it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's neat.
Great job.
The article, here's a picture of the article from the magazine itself. And this is a painted view here. So that is kind of neat. But
yeah,
that's what I was trying to show last month's meeting, but wasn't able to. My computer crashed. So that's about it. I just wanted to. It was kind of fun just taking the pictures and putting them in sequence like that on the PowerPoint. If anybody wants to try that, it's pretty easy to do.
Thank you.
Nice touch photographing on a camel background.
Does
Mike,
anyone
you got
else?
something to share?
I got a couple things here.
Ah, yes.
Okay, I made these a while back, and just to give away, and I gave 3 of them away so far. And this one has round eyes, and this one has slanted eyes. And so I decided that the round eyes are a lot easier to make. All you have to do is drill a hole with a Forstner bit, and you can put something in. But this is more work. So, but they're kind of cute.
Are they like coasters or hot pads or what?
Well, they're just kind of a thing to look at. They're about 5 by 5 inches in size.
Looks like it'd make a nice trivet.
Well, yeah, it could be.
How did you do the inserts, Mike?
I used a small router. Do you have one of those little Bosch routers, about a 1 1/4 horse? Have you seen those at Menards? They're a little hand router rather than the bigger one. No. Well, go over to Menards and look at some of those smaller routers. They're just a tiny router, but they're work real good. They seem to have pretty good power, and you can put a bit in there. And then I just use that template, that kit, for doing the inlays. And so you'll use that kit, and it has a bearing or a bushing on the outside of this kit. And then it has a 1/4 inch bit. I went with a 1/4 inch bit, a little beefier. And then you'll just follow that around on your piece to make the smile, little insert, and then you make the cutout that the insert fits into. And so you have to do it a couple times to kind of get your act together, but once you've done it, it's okay. It does work. You can't make a square edged insert though, unless you want to do a lot of work. It has to be round because you're using a round bit.
Are kits available at Menards as well?
No, that you'd have to get at probably Woodcraft or Rockler to get that inlay kit. So that would include a bushing that would fit in your router, and then it includes that 1/4, or sometimes they have the 1/8 inch carbide bit, and I kind of wanted to go with the bigger bit, being as how it'd be stronger. I just didn't trust that 1/8 inch bit.
Can you show it again, Mike? Those pictures of. I'm not seeing it coming up here. I'm not.
You don't see it?
Well, now I John. Okay, so you don't cut that all out and put a backer board on that then?
Nope, it's just a 3/4 inch piece of maple.
Oh, okay, I see the
And
back
that's,
now. Okay, okay, that wasn't clear to me at first. Okay,
yeah, and that's a walnut that goes in there about, a 1/4 inch thick.
okay, so you got
Yeah.
walnut.
Show the back. Show the back again.
The back, that's
Just the
just
maple.
maple, just a nice piece of maple.
So you're just cutting the surface of the wood on the maple.
Yes.
Yep, you just cut his little smile out and you cut 2 little holes, and then you make your inserts out of a spare piece of walnut, 1/4 inch thick, and then just glue them in.
Nice.
So I've been experimenting with some inlays and that kind of thing, and I made a cutting board sort of a thing this summer for a gal that was retiring from the Beef Council, and she wanted they wanted a serving tray with a cow on it. And so I decided, well, okay, I can do that. So I knew Jerry, a friend of mine, he has that engraving laser engraver. And I said, Jerry, I want to make this cutting board. I want you to engrave this cow in it. So I got it all ready, and I got a few practice pieces for him. I took it over to Jerry, and so he did the practice pieces, and I looked at those and looked okay. And so then I said, okay, go ahead and put it on there. So he laser engraves this cow on there, and it's maple wood again. And geez, the cow came out sort of brown. It's supposed to be black. And so I'm going, ooh, that don't look what we want here. And it's probably engraves down about 5 to 10 thousandths. It sinks the wood. So I took a look at it and I went, well, maybe we can stain this. So I took a practice piece and I started staining. And I quickly realized that maple was going to carry that stain almost up to a 1/2 inch through the board out from the cow. And I'm going, whoa, that's not too good. This is unacceptable. And it looked like varicose veins radiating out from the cow. And so I said, okay, how do we fix that? So then I took some clear poly, and I polyed a couple of coats on that cow. Well, I let that dry, and then I put the stain on, this dark black stain. And when I got done, I looked at it and I went, oh, I don't know. So I went and got Colleen and I said, okay, what's your opinion of this? She says, I don't think that's very good. I said, I don't either. We're going to have to start over. So now I've got this board with this terrible looking cow in it, and we've got a few weeks to go, and I'm going, geez, now what? So I looked around online and on YouTube again, and I decided finally to cut a depression into the middle of the board, sort of an oval shape. And I was going to make a cow out of some more of that 1/4 inch walnut, which I did. And so now you have to get some of this glue from Rockler. It's a clear glue that mixes in parts A and B, equal parts. And you can stain it or put colors into it, but I just wanted it clear. So I glued that cow in the middle of that board. And so then we had to put the epoxy glue in. And so we measure that out very carefully. I pour that in around it. And now you sand that down with your, oscillating sander until that's good and smooth. And you work that up until it's, it's about 400 grit or something with that oscillating sander, so you get a really nice smooth finish. And then you can hand sand it even smoother than that. But when you put the poly back on it, that glue, the epoxy glue, clears up again. You can see it. So it came out really nice. It was a lot of work, but it did come out pretty nice. And I've got it somewhere on the computer, but I don't know how to share it. But maybe by next meeting, I can put that up and you could see. And this is the kind of technique they use in those tabletops that they have out of a piece of unfinished, a cutout of a piece of wood, and you've got a rough, I don't know, with the rough bark in it. Yeah. They'll pour a bunch of this glue with a nice blue stain or something. It looks just beautiful. So it's kind of something to try. I think Dylan probably uses this stuff too on some of his things.
Thanks.
Yep.
I can show you what the TLC toys I have. This is the can you see this one?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, these are the 5 little ones, the duck, the turtle, heart, teddy bear, and the rabbit. And again, these are all sized to his little 3.5-inch cedar wood that he gives us. So I started out with much larger patterns and that he got from this one place that was making bigger ones. And then I just reduced them all down and kept going down until they would fit on that 3.5-inch. And then the other people that made them were using like 3/4 to 1 inch thick, and they were self-standing. Well, this is 1/2-inch cedar, so obviously they would a little bit of wind it just fall over. So then I took and made bases for each one, and again using the same 3.5-inch cedar, and just cut it, like on little 1.5-inch strips, and it's 3.5 inches wide. So then again, there's a lot of sanding and so forth, and a trick that Roger brought to my attention was he said, "Well, Gary, I'm stacking 2 of mine together." So, so I thought, oh yeah. So then I started, cutting 2 at a time in a stack. So that helped a lot. Now I want to show you the other one here. This one here, this is the other 2. And this is the one I just finished this week that I made. I made 43 of these. And this is, you got 4 pieces here. So this one is much more involved. Again, you got your single tulip here, the small part. Then you got your top one here, all on the 3.5-inch piece. Then you got a 1/4-inch dowel here that you have to drill 2 holes on it. And then again, you use another base here. And like I said, I've cut a couple hundred, like 220 bases. And then Roger, he went psycho, and I went over there and he did a whole box full of them. And he had, like, I don't know, probably 300 and some. And then he stacks them in there real nice and neat. But anyhow, this is the tulip, and this is a slotted tree. And this one's bigger. This one, Jim Barthel found some 5-inch wide cedar. And so then again, I sized this all up to, it's a 1/2 inch thick, but it's 5 inches wide. So we're using that to make these slotted trees. And I think I made 50 of these, and Roger's probably, I think he did another 50 or 60. But anyhow, these are the ornament, the wood projects that we're making for the seniors in the assisted living. And I took mine over there to Jim, and talking to him yesterday, he said most of them he's already taken and given out. So that's a good thing. And another thing that's being started with TLC Toys is we're following up on what Phil Lagarde did. He was giving a lot of his toys to the Stillwater Prison and the Stillwater Police Department. And just like 3 weeks ago, some of Jim Barthel's workers got contacts with the police departments and sheriff departments. And so there's probably about 3 or 4 departments now that have come on board that they're excited about this and have been taking a lot of the race cars and some other ones. The Suburban County Sheriff's Department, Anoka County Sheriff's, and Coon Rapids Police Department. So they're all doing this. So now Jim's got a big push on making more cars because they really like those. So again, we'll probably be if you want to start cutting cars, let me know. And anyhow, that's what I've done. Next.
Katie,
All right.
Yes?
let's see if I can make this work.
Mhm.
Come on. Come on. Where are you, photos? You were just there. Well, let's do it this way. Can you see the whole thing?
Yep.
You want me to hold it?
I made this for my niece. She, her and David got married in June. And so I haven't quite got it to them yet. They're going to have a reception for him in a couple of weeks. So that's one thing that I've done. Here's a little tree. This was in the last issue of Scrollsaw Woodworking and Craft. And it does come apart. And
is that a 1/4-inch wood that you used on that?
Oh, that's all. Yeah, it's all 1/4-inch wood. Yeah.
Is it cedar or what? Or what did you use? What kind
No, it's walnut.
Walnut.
And here's a little sock I made. I was going to make one for each one of the members of the family, but a shoulder got in the way. And here's a little train. And these come out of last year's winter magazine, Scrollsaw Woodworking and Craft.
Jeff, what did you finish? What did you finish the wedding plaque with?
I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to use it's made by General Finish. It's what I run through my spray gun. What is that? It dries really clear. It leaves just a little bit of color in it, so it kind of highlights the grain really well. But yeah, I spray pretty much everything these days with an HVLP.
Do you use a satin finish or?
Yeah, semi-gloss.
Okay.
Does anyone else have something to share?
Yeah, going back to Mike's for a minute, that bar top epoxy is heat sensitive. When you lay it down, you run a blowtorch over it to get the bubbles out of it. So I made a carrying tray for the senior center to take coffee cups from the cupboard over to the table where they have the pot. Well, they had the coffee cups in the dishwasher, took it right out, laid them on there, and it worked the whole thing. And they tried to flatten it back out with heat and it didn't do it. So if it's a heat situation, that may not be your best approach.
Yeah, they do recommend a heat gun to take the bubbles out. You're right, Dave.
Yeah. Either that or a pressure pot if it's small enough.
What is that? What is that?
I shouldn't have said that. It's a long story. It's more a wood turning thing, but you can, with epoxy and stuff like that, you can build a pressure pot like for you can get all the fittings at Harbor Freight. Basically, it's a painter's pot. Painter's pressure pot is what you do, but with the right fittings, you can seal it up, put a gauge on it, and you force the bubbles out. It's the same principle as what you were talking about with the heat gun and that. But if you have, sometimes with the heat gun, if you have like a thicker pour, that it's hard to get all the bubbles to raise. With a pressure pot, you put it in, you put air pressure on it, and you leave it. I leave it overnight, and it'll force the bubbles out by morning.
I don't care either one.
I can show you sometime offline or whatever. It's kind of a long. I don't have it in front of here. I can show you handy.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I can share something too if you want, Katie. See if I can get mine to share here. Got a baptism and a confirmation coming up in the family, so I made 2 of these actually. or like that.
Nice.
How big is
Just
that?
out of it. That's actually, it's way bigger than I wanted it to be originally, than I thought the pattern was going to be. It's about the cross from top to bottom is like about 18, almost 19 inches long. So when I first found the pattern, I thought it was only maybe, I don't know, maybe a foot tall or so. And it's all right, but I wished it would have been a little shorter actually.
It's very pretty. David Fate made one of those for me and gave it to me a while back. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. And then I got a granddaughter that's her first Christmas this year, so did a little first Christmas deal like that. So anyway, that's the Scrollsaw stuff.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Oops, I mean that's not Scrollsaw. That's wood turning. That's travel mugs. I did them this month too.
Well, they're nice too.
Anyway, so that's it.
I like those travel mugs.
I like them.
If there's anything positive about COVID, it's given us scrollsawers more time to scroll saw and make projects.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, I can stop sharing.
Okay, anybody else have anything to show? Well, then I think that will wrap it up here. Our announcements. Our next virtual meeting is going to be Saturday, December 5th, 2020, 9:30 to 11:30. And any other announcements anybody want to bring up? Without that, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
And we have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned at 11:13 I have.
I'm gonna
Oh, boy,
leave.
we almost went 2 hours here.
Yeah.